Greetings. Just here at the old storage unit, doing some quick maintenance on the mountain bike. I thought it'd be a good time to review my new bike rack. Well, new to me, probably not new to somebody who's experienced with the company Rockbros or Rockbros USA. I've never used them before. This was the first ever product I bought from them, and I needed a very inexpensive bike rack, and I couldn't find any locally because I'm out in the sticks and we don't have too many bike shops around here, and the ones that we have are pretty spendy. So I had to go online, and luckily free shipping from Rockbros. So for $49.99, I got myself a bike rack, and I'm very happy to have something on the back of my bike to be able to carry stuff around, because this is my primary transportation around town, because the old pickup truck is broken down. And so we got it stored, and these are my wheels for the last 8 months, and so it's important to be able to get your groceries home. But how good is this rack? Well, I wanted one that was welded and had 2 legs that attached right here, and then had the 2 little prongs that attached somehow here. And this is a much different design than I've ever seen. I thought, well, let's give it a try. I saw a similar one in my local department store, Fred Meyer, and they had just the rack part with no legs and none of this sort of W part. And it occurred to me that going around corners, it also didn't have the lovely mud flap, but going around corners, I figured the weight on top of it would cause it to rotate because it attaches around the seat post with a quick release. And I thought, quick release is nice. You can get it off the bike and not have it in the way if you don't want it, I haven't taken it off yet though, so I don't really need the quick releases I'm finding. And the problem is, yes, you can't clamp tightly enough around a tube to keep it from moving. And this is meant to be a quick on and off piece, accessory. And so the quick releases are at all the attachment points, like here on both sides, quick releases, but they're a round clamp around a round tube, and so there's hardly any way to get it to lock in place. And so even with their little rubber shims that they want in there, it's not a tight enough grip, and gotta keep it clean. Cleaning and lubrication are the 2 most important aspects of maintenance, really. Cleaning helps keep the dust from accumulating, the dirt from accumulating and causing things to rust, and lubrication keeps things moving freely and not wearing out. But what will happen, if you can get it correct, you can see I don't quite have it right because I tend to have my bags. I have a pair of Rockbros bags that go on this, and they're pannier bags, and so they clip onto the rack here, and there's a thumb that rubs right here and has worn the paint off, and that's what the W's are for, to help keep the rack from flipping inward onto your tire. But as you can see, the weight on this side, because I've been using just the one, it's pushing this leg downward, and you can see there it's come down, and underneath this is bare metal, and it's just rubbing the metal away because this is just not stable. It tends to, you can see it just literally is there. I just moved it, now it's misaligned just with my hand, and so you picture all your weight on it. I've got this as tightly clamped as it will go. I took a pair of vice grips on each of these quick releases to tighten them as far as they could possibly go using leverage, and it just isn't tight enough. I can still move these up and down the legs, and because the legs, the down tubes here have a taper, it's impossible to grab it. If it was the same size here as it was right here, it would not slip down, but because it's narrower down here than up here, it's just going to keep sliding down and sliding down. So this is a really poor design. And another problem that I've had, you may notice those 2 bolts there that hold the rack in place so it doesn't slide forward or backwards aren't the same, because this one, despite me tightening it in pretty good, fell out and vanished while riding, and then that one actually fell out and luckily landed between my heel and my sandal sole as my foot was rotating through the pedal. I happened to have my foot backwards, and that thing fell right there, and I caught it. So this one I got back, and I super tightened it down to where I was just about thought I was going to strip it out. And this one I happen to have an extra one just laying around that happened to fit in there, but I already lost a part off it, which was pretty disappointing. So parts falling off, not a good thing. And so I went through and realized they had all come loose. One of these has stripped out because this hardware isn't sturdy enough. This is just too lightweight of hardware. So one of these is already stripped out just in it, attaching it to the bicycle. And these legs slide up and down. This inner tube slides inside of this tube, and so that set sort of Allen key screw there is the only thing holding your entire load from crashing down in. So these 2 little screws, you can see where I had them previously, leaving marks. It's just not a great design, unfortunately. It moves around too much. I had to swerve suddenly with a heavy load on both bags on, and a heavy load, and this bag, boom, ran right into the tire. And I went, oh geez, I'm gonna ruin my bags. They're 50 bucks a piece for those bags. Pretty nice. I'm not going to show you them now. We're focusing on the rack. But I was worried about it rubbing, so I attached electrical tape, but it doesn't matter because there's all these little rubs where paint's coming off here and there. It does come with a reflector. It does come with a mud flap. You can slide it forward and back, which is nice, so I was able to get it to where it's not colliding with my butt here. So that's nice enough. You can remove the mud flap if you don't want it. You can remove these little rack parts if you don't want it for the pannier bags to keep them, supposed to keep them from going in, but they still, this corner tends to tip inward with the bags, and maybe I'll show you that in the future video of how well those bags work. They're just little 15-liter around town type bags, not for bike packing, though you could use them that way. But all in all, I'm not very impressed with this. The price was great, the shipping was free, it has lasted, but it's not sturdy enough, it's not secure enough. I can't trust it with too heavy a load because I'm afraid of maybe one of these slipping, and next thing I know, this is colliding with my tire and I'm suddenly coming to a stop. You know, I mean, it could result in some pretty bad disaster if this thing gives and ends up colliding with your spokes or something. So I mean, look at these bolts right here are just literally a finger width from the spoke, and this one even closer, not even a finger width from the spokes. So that's really just like, yikes. It's a sketchy design because if this rotates too far one way or the other, it will collide with the spokes. Again, you know, this rotating because of the round connection. It's just not a good design, and I was worried that it wouldn't be a good design. Another one of the major design drawbacks is the very quick release system and how it mounts. Now you might notice not just having these bolts for the inside of the quick releases here, those ones so close to the spokes that if this here happens to rotate that way, you might start colliding with the spokes. But if you put this any farther, really up to here, is about as far as you could really do it without starting to interfere with the brakes, you might have a little problem with your feet, because you see where the pedal actually is rotating right past there. And so if you're putting your toes on your pedal, your heel will collide with that. And you can see as you're pedaling, and if you take a look back there and see how close your heels are getting to this. Another critical design flaw that has still got me very worried, considering that these clamps are prone to sliding down the tubes, is the quick release lever's actual bolt, because if you look from above, you can see it actually sticks out past the chain. But if it slides down, this quick release here is going to be sliding down this way, and it starts to get to where it's in real danger of colliding with the chain. And now the geometry of it, you can see that the tube actually angles farther out this way the farther you go down, so there is a chance it might not collide. It might go just outside the chain. But if this were to rotate any, which you can pretty much do by hand just by manipulating it, or going over bumps with the heavy loads, I just barely even moved it, just touching it, then you will have it collide. And that's yet another disaster, just about as bad as it colliding with the spokes. So I mean, the geometry of it, nothing lines up the way it's really supposed to. But I will say, so far it has not failed, and it has lasted, and it's done everything that I've expected it to do so far. And of course it's about as versatile as you'd expect from a bike rack, whether it's just taking your bungee and your U-lock and taking a quick trip around town for a quick errand, or maybe it's your jugs of water and some groceries from the store. Or maybe we've loaded up the bike bags for a longer journey around town. Or even your electric guitar. Let's jam. But I really do wish that I had one that was just a solid, sturdy, welded with no moving parts. It's all these moving parts that are points of failure, and that's always my biggest gripe, is moving parts are points of failure. That's why I prefer fixed blade knives. That's why I like my Mora knife, because that's a fixed blade. I don't like moving parts. They always jam or fail or wear out, and so I just really wish I had a welded one. And they're $50. I guess over at Walmart I could go take a half-an-hour drive, or well, 17 miles on a bicycle. That's a long round trip just to get a bike rack. I think I'd maybe take the bus to do that, but I'd really like to get a welded one that's solid and isn't going to go anywhere, and doesn't have screws that can back out or move or wear out. You know, too many moving parts. I don't need the quick releases. I'm fine with it staying on the bike permanently and being, you know, a little bit of a process to take on and off, because it's as I said, it's my primary transportation right now, so it needs to stay on the bike. And I do plan on eventually getting into maybe some light bike packing. That'd sure be nice. I'm getting a little older. It's not so easy to do these big, grand adventures. And so, you know, you got to use what you got in terms of your physical abilities. And bicycle's doing pretty good for me right now. But I definitely wanted to take a look at this bike rack and just kind of share with you my first impressions after a few months. Because too many times people do these gear reviews of their first impression and they haven't even tried it out and they don't know how good it is. I wanted to wait till I've given it some time to go through its paces before I share, you know, how this really works. This screw right here is going to is backing out, and so I'm going to have to slide the rack forward, tighten this screw back down that holds, oh my gosh, there's too many little things that are just failing, and it's like, this is what I wanted to know before I sat down and went, okay, is this a good product or not? Well, I'd say out of 10 stars, I'd give it a 5 or a 6, you know, maybe like a 3 stars out of 5. It's not bad, it's not great. I mean, it does what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't do what you want it to do. I guess that would be, it doesn't do what you expect it to do. You expect it to be nice and stable and not flop side to side or have parts fall off as you're riding, and those expectations were failed. So mid-grade, you know, like a C+, B-, somewhere in there for the Rockbros rear pannier rack, or bike rack we should say, with the quick releases, of course. That's this specific model. And just on an aside, the sticker appears to be Japanese, and so I don't think that Rockbros even manufactures this. I believe this is manufactured and they simply distribute it, so I can't blame the company. The manufacturer likes this design and Rockbros just the one selling it, so I can't fault the company. Hey, I mean, they gave me free shipping, and guess what they also didn't do? They didn't make me sign up for an account to buy this thing. Thank you, Rockbros, for not making me have yet another stupid login. I do appreciate that, so I'll tack that on as one little bonus there. They do get extra credit for not making me have another sign up. Thank you, Rockbros. I just enter my shipping information, my payment information, and the order gets processed. So that was pretty good, but definitely want to thank you for joining me for these few minutes to take a look at my personal review and take on the Rockbros rear bike rack.